You're listening to Civic Media. You can tune into any of our live shows on any radio station across the state with the Civic Media app. Find us in your phone's app store and listen anytime, anywhere.
Good morning and welcome to Matt Nair on Air. Jane Matt Nair, Greg Bach, Calvin Butenoff, coming to you live from our studio at Radio Park in Racine. You can always join us, call or text. The number is the same, 855-752-4842. You can also leave a comment if you're watching in the live stream on Facebook, YouTube, and what used to be Twitter. Lots of stuff coming up on the show today. Todd Alba will be here after the 9:30 news. We're going to talk, among other things, about the fact that Wisconsinites, by a pretty fair majority, support Planned Parenthood.
What?
I know.
Wait a minute. Do you mean that just regular folks who aren't elected in power?
No.
We agree on stuff?
There are things on which we agree.
Where have I been?
I know. It's kind of shocking. So we're going to kick that around with Todd after 9:30. Also with Todd, Robert Kennedy Jr. yesterday
Oh, God.
fired 17 people from the CDC Vaccine Advisory Board, which he essentially said during his nomination hearing that he would not do.
Yeah.
And then he did. So with Todd, in the last half hour of this hour, we're going to put forth some names who should be on the next advisory panel about vaccines under Bob Jr.
Love it.
So if you have any suggestions on who you would like to see on this vaccine advisory panel, or Robert Kennedy Jr., text it in.
Hey, this is a great time to use the voice note.
It is.
You can go to the app, the Civic Media app. It's free, everybody. And you can you can call us, you can text the show, and you can leave us a voice note. It's right there in the middle at the bottom part of the screen. Press that button, leave a recording of your voice. It'll be sent to us. We'll make sure it's in context, make sure it's FCC compliant, but leave your name, where you're from, and how you're listening to us. So, yeah, let us know your suggestions for the CDC Vaccine Advisory Board, because there are 17 positions.
Lots of open spots there.
If you want to apply,
Why not?
I mean, it's America. Why not go for it?
Do you breathe? You're qualified.
Do you agree with everything that the administration says? You might be up for a new job.
You might be ready. Also, next hour, there are a lot of protests planned for Saturday.
Yes.
Saturday, of course, is the big parade in Washington, D.C., the 250th anniversary of the birthday of the Army, but it is also Donald Trump's birthday.
Yeah.
So he's getting his big parade on Saturday, and then there are protests scheduled for all over the country. We're going to talk about that in combination with what is happening in Los Angeles.
Okay. Yeah.
President Trump ordered in 700 Marines.
700 Marines, 2,000 National
Guard troops,
Yep.
which the governor, the attorney general, the mayor, even the chief of police, none of them had called for that.
Yeah.
None of them have asked for this.
It's almost, Jane, like they're using it as a reason to stir up fear and anxiety and consternation.
Oh,
That's
what
a
a word.
college word.
So that's coming up next hour. Also, we will lighten things up for the last half hour of the show, because by then I think we're all going to need to take a breath.
Yeah, we promise.
Yes, we promise. For Audio Sorbet, we lost Sly Stallone. Sly Stallone. Sly Stone. Sorry, Sly. He's still fine.
He could be on the Vaccine Advisory Board.
Good.
Yeah.
Along with James Woods.
There you go.
Yes, Sly Stone
There it
of
is.
Sly and the Family Stone has died. And so we were talking about kickback songs.
Yeah, what songs do you relax to, especially in these summer, warmer months, longer days? We all need to kick back and relax.
Take a breath.
How do you kick your feet up on the porch or wherever you do that? Or a driving, like maybe your kickback song is a driving song.
That works.
Let us know. Text us, call us, leave a voice note, send them in now and throughout the show. And if, we can read them and
play
make
them
some
back.
suggestions and make a playlist.
Oh, I like that
There you
idea.
go.
So that's coming up after the 10:30 news, and then we'll wrap up the show as we always do with This Shouldn't Be a Thing. Today it's the Bad Boys edition. Local too.
Are you sure you're not a dad? Because man, your sense of humor is like 90% dad joke.
It just calls to me. So stick around for that. That's coming up around 10:51. Wanted to start off with this though, an article I found in today's Milwaukee Journal Sentinel from Rick Barrett with the byline: with tariffs and taxes, Wisconsin manufacturers are at a critical crossroads. So it's interesting. Journal Sentinel talked to a number of business owners about the Trump tariffs, which one day it's 145%, the next day it's 50%, the next day it's, 132%, the next day, not so much. The back and forth is really not good for business.
No.
And we've talked to numerous people about this.
We've talked to James Vanderloo from the OEC Group in Milwaukee. He's the president.
And they deal with logistics.
They deal with logistics, and we've been talking to him since before the election on this. We talked to Missy Hughes from the WEDC, and it's one thing that I think business owners can get together on, regardless of who they voted for, is business does not like insecurity, does not like uncertainty. And this sort of thing especially affects those smaller middle-sized businesses that really rely on export imports and are just trying to make a buck. They're not billionaires.
No.
So this has been a roller coaster ride for the past 5 months now.
And not stopping anytime soon.
Oh, fantastic.
We got great deals coming any day now.
Well, tariffs are going to save us, Jane.
Well, but there's deals all in the works. They're going to be up. We'll have all the deals in 2 weeks. It's all coming in 2 weeks.
Along with the economic plan and the healthcare plan?
Yeah, all that's coming. Ed Paradowski, this is from the Milwaukee Journal Sentinel article, says he supports President Trump's goal of leveling the playing field for U.S. manufacturers, but also said that 50% tariff that Trump imposed on imported steel and aluminum puts his company in a very bad spot. He is the president of a Kenosha metal fabricator. He says, quote, "We operate in a specialized and niche market with a specialized and niche supply chain. There are two global suppliers for the materials we utilize. Both of them are in Europe. There are just some things we don't make here."
Yes.
And can't make here.
Yeah.
I go back to a conversation that happened last week in a House committee hearing where
Howard Lutnick,
thank you.
And I think it was Congressman Dean.
I believe you're right. She said, let's talk about bananas.
Yeah.
Let's just talk about bananas, for example. We can't grow bananas here.
Yeah.
That's not a thing.
Well, he doesn't care. If we just do it, Jane, then we'll
find a way to grow bananas.
If we make and grow and create everything that we use here in America, then there will be no more tariffs. We won't need them.
We just won't have bananas.
No, we'll make them, Jane. We'll just make them.
We're going to create bananas.
Do it. That is his thing. Just do it.
Yeah. She essentially said, look, that's great that we want to bring manufacturing back. I think that's wonderful. As we have talked to James Vanderloo, he says in many cases, it takes at least a decade to get some of the infrastructure up and running for companies to make these things that we need. So this is not I announced the tariffs one day and everything is up and ready to go the next day. That's not how it works.
Well, and not to mention that and by the way, I just want to clarify, it was Representative Madeline Dean who was speaking to Howard Lutnick about this topic, and she had a banana in her hand in the hearing. And well, yeah, if we want to spare 10 years and let's say we want to build that iPhone factory here, and I guess I'll just pick a spot in Montana.
Why not?
Can we do it there? Does the ground support that kind of infrastructure? Also, the minerals and the ingredients, if you will, all the parts don't also come from this country. There are things that are not mined in this country that go into making phones. So I don't think there's, well, unless Apple decides to redesign everything, and then congratulations, you now have a $40,000 phone that's made solely in this country. Awesome, but it's the party that loves to tell you, do your research, who does zero research. Make it now. Make the bananas here.
Just make it happen.
Build the cars here right now. Just make a building right there. Put a building right there.
Shouldn't take that long.
No.
This kind of jumped out at me from this article again in the Milwaukee Journal Sentinel. The president and CEO of the Metropolitan Milwaukee Association of Commerce, Dale Kooyenga,
Oh,
That's a familiar name.
did he serve in the Assembly and the
He
Senate
did as a
from-
Republican.
for like 12 years?
Here's what Dale Kuyanga had to say. We'll just call him Dale K for my benefit. Dale Kuyanga said you can't have an environment where tariffs are going up and down like a yo-yo the next 4 years. If this is going to be the trend of never having a resolution on tariffs, then the uncertainty for business is going to lead us into recession. That's a pretty bold statement.
That is Republican and former state Assembly and Senator Dale Kuyanga saying the big R word, recession.
Recession.
Seems like they can say that a lot when they're not in office. They have no problem talking about
Isn't that interesting?
the real facts, I mean, this is a guy I'm assuming who voted for Donald Trump. We couldn't find any information on whether or not he was about, overturning the 2020 election, but still, he is a Republican. He has not changed parties, but this is a real thing. This is a real problem.
It is a real problem.
And this group, as well as I'm sure the WEDC, and I'm sure James Vanderloo, when he talks to individuals, I'll bet you it's a fair mix of Republicans, Democrats, Libertarians, non-independents, whatever. They're all for the common goal of thriving. And that thriving helps the economy. And when Dale Kuyanga, who is a Republican, is telling you this is an unstable way of operating, then listen to your boy.
One would think.
Yeah.
Talking about tariffs and how tariffs are affecting Wisconsin industries, the CEO of a company in Waukesha that makes parts for the automotive industry, Austin Ramirez, says manufacturers simply cannot make a commitment if they don't know what the playing field looks like.
Yeah.
Much of what we're talking about is not reducing taxes. It's just not making things worse. It's making things worse. And for small businesses, this uncertainty is even more severe because their profit margins are so slim the way it is.
We spoke to the owner of Moore Bakery, and there are things that she has to do to mitigate her costs, pre-ordering, committed to certain size amounts, so she knows exactly what to buy, because she can't just go buy
40 of X.
And if she makes too much and it doesn't sell, well, that's money down the tubes. Like, this is such a non-business friendly. I take that back. Let me rephrase that. This is great for the billionaires and the multimillionaires. They're going to be fine. They're, with the tax cut coming, they're going to be so good.
Oh yeah.
But for people who own the machine shops, for people who own the bakeries, for people who own, whatever, the restaurants, just those simple small places that
little gift shops
that, Jane, are the backbone of this country.
And they are
suffering now and kind of being told, well, deal with it. You just wait.
Just wait.
Hold
it's
on.
all coming.
Be patient. Stick cool, dude. We'll all do this together.
90 days, 120 days.
Yeah.
In some days, this will all be resolved. So just hang on.
Yeah.
Until then, it's all going to be fine. When we return, a proposal for the city of Milwaukee on how to crack down on speeders.
Oh, reckless driving.
Is this the answer or not? That's all on the way. Stay close. You are listening to Matt Nair on Air. This is the Civic Media Radio Network. We'll be right back.
You're listening to Civic Media. Stay up to date on the latest news and information for your local community and Wisconsin by signing up for our free email newsletter. Visit civicmedia.us/email to get started.
Good morning and welcome to Matt Nair on Air. Jane Matt Nair, Greg Bach, Dr. Slide on the board. Coming to you from our studio at Radio Park in Racine. You can join us, call or text, no matter where you are, say, in Park Falls.
Whoa.
You can call or text at 855-752-4842 or leave a comment if you're watching on the live stream on Facebook, YouTube, and what used to be Twitter. And don't forget, we are in the midst of our statewide Scotty Summer Text to Win contest. After the 11 o'clock news with Tom Hartman, listen for Greg and me.
That's us.
We will give you the keyword that you want to text in via the Civic Media app. You have an hour to do that. And then you're in the running for either $100 in hot cash or a pair of Milwaukee Brewers Club level tickets. And then every entry qualifies you for one of two grand prize trips, either a getaway in Door County or Baraboo. And we give you cash to get there. Gas money.
So amazing.
I know, it's fabulous.
Also, from now on, you are only allowed to refer to it as hot cash.
Hot cash.
You get $100 in hot cash.
Hot cash. That is coming up after 11 o'clock. You have 4 chances to enter in the 7, 11, 2, and 4 o'clock hours for our statewide Scotty Summer Text to Win contest. That keyword again coming up after 11 o'clock. You could be a winner just like Cheryl in Muscadet, listening on
Nice.
WRCO.
I'm so glad I work here because I would have never known how to pronounce Muscadet because I pronounced it, I think, as like Muscogee.
Muscoda. That's how I pronounce it. Todd Alba is the one who taught me how to say it right.
Hey, dude, you're saying it wrong.
And Todd's going to be here, by the way, after the 9:30 news. So
and
stick around for
he
that.
will correct us on any other Wisconsin city, town
That we
names.
need to know. That's right. He'll put us in our place.
Yeah.
Wanted to spend just a little bit of time about this. If you live in the city of Milwaukee, I would love to hear from you about what you think should be done about how to crack down on speeders. It's insane, and it's not getting better.
No.
Wisconsin and Milwaukee policymakers, again, this from the Milwaukee Journal Sentinel from Sophie Teague. They were hoping to pass legislation allowing Milwaukee to install cameras that will automatically cite speeding drivers. State law currently prohibits Milwaukee from installing those. They would automatically cite people who speed more than 15 miles an hour above the limit. State Senator LaTanya Johnson says this bill is about giving Milwaukee the ability to protect its people, nothing more, nothing less. Is that a good idea? Should we get red light cameras? 855-752-4842. That's 855-75-CIVIC. I live in the city of Milwaukee. I don't know that that's the answer.
I don't live in Milwaukee, but I live in a city. I've lived in Milwaukee. I lived there for almost 20 years. I don't either, honestly. I would love to have a hard and fast opinion about this, but when I think of, because this is all in concert with talking about reckless driving, and
Right.
we've talked to James Causey about this. We talked to the city of Milwaukee Engineering Department about traffic calming measures, but I think there's 2 classes here, and I make no judgment on the people themselves because that's not what we're here to talk about. There are people who speed. We speed, I speed, you speed, Calvin speed. We all speed, whether it's 5, 10, 15, I think. And those red lights will definitely probably catch those
us.
individuals.
Right.
And you get a $50 or $100 ticket in the mail, and you're like, oh. And they send you a letter, and in that letter it will show a picture that it captures of you committing the infraction. So there's proof right there. So you can't be like, I didn't do that.
Wasn't me.
And you're like, darn it.
Yeah.
And it might give you pause and keep you whatever, but in combating the reckless driving that we see in the news, which is overturned cars, people on the sidewalk, injuring
through
deaths,
stop signs,
causing just the craziest destruction at intersections, I don't think this is going to do it. I think the people who speed like that, they're going to say, that's funny. I'm going to keep doing it. There's not going to be, it's not a deterrent.
As for the people who drive recklessly, they're not going to care. And what enforcement mechanism do we have to get them to pay up on these fines? That's my whole thing. So you fine them, they get a letter in the mail, they throw it away.
Yeah.
Then what?
The furthest it goes is that you don't pay them. It's like not paying a parking or a speeding ticket, and there's probably gonna be a bench warrant for your arrest. And if they catch you, then they'll arrest you, and then you're gonna get out. And I don't know if there is a fix because reckless driving to me is a personal thing. It's not the city's having 2 lanes, a city road having 2 lanes isn't what causes the reckless driving. It's the person, because I've seen people blow through traffic calming measures to get around and do their thing. I mean, yesterday, just on the freeway, I saw someone just swerving around people and then passing someone on the right on the shoulder.
Oh my.
So I don't want...
Is a $100 fine going to do anything about that?
Not for certain individuals.
Ellis from Cudahy, listening on WAUK, says, put in the cameras. It will make a difference. Enforcement and arrest. I would like to see something done.
Yeah.
But if all you're going to do is catch people who are going 5 miles an hour over the speed limit, that's not where the issue is. It is these reckless drivers who are wrecking it for everybody.
Well, and that's the thing is, in Chicago, they have this. They have, and I know for personal
My husband
reasons.
dealt with this too.
Yeah, and I don't know how how effective it is. And I'm looking it up here, and it says that studies have shown that red light enforcement programs in Chicago have been effective in reducing dangerous crashes. I'm not against doing it. I'm not saying no, but I'm also not, I don't know. Just to say, yes, do it, I don't know either. I guess I would like to see a study. I'd like to see
how effective it is.
Because the internet's the internet. I'd love to see an actual professional group say, here are the things you can look forward to if you, and is it in every single, or is it in affected areas? How do they plan on rolling it out? And how will it affect taxes and things of that nature and whatnot? So
I don't know. Stockades?
Let's,
It's just a thought. Reckless drivers.
in the middle of the square, throw tomatoes at their faces.
Bad fruit, and public mocking. I'm trying to help. Okay, news is coming up next. When we return, Todd Alba will be here from the Todd Alba Show, 2 to 4 across the network. Stay with us. You're listening to Matt Nair on Air on the Civic Media Radio Network. Good morning and welcome to Matt Nair on Air. Jane Matt Nair, Greg Bach, Sweet Cal B on the board, coming to you from our studio at Radio Park in Racine. You can always join us, call or text. The number is the same, 855-752-4842. Leave a comment if you're watching on the live stream on Facebook, YouTube, and what used to be Twitter. He joins us every other Tuesday at this time from the balcony outside his fabulous headquarters in Madison somewhere. It's Todd Alba. Good morning, my friend. How are you?
Good morning, Jane, Greg, Kelvin. I'm out in the elements today. I thought I'd get a view of the Capitol, but smoke. Canadian
still
smoke.
hazy.
And they picked a new pope?
Yes, the Canadians have picked a new pope. That's right, Greg.
It looks a little bit hazy. Are you outside the headquarters or are you at home?
No, I'm in my building's balcony.
Your building's
My
balcony.
balcony.
I've seen that balcony, actually.
Yeah.
Fancy.
Well, you got to get up here, Jane. We'll enjoy a beverage, and Greg, and we'll just chill out. We should do both our shows from the balcony on a nice day.
Oh, I like that idea.
I do, too.
I like that idea a whole lot. We'll work on that. We'll get that in the running. We'll get that.
By the way, we're trying to get on the road, and I've been put in charge of transportation. Now, as Jane well knows, when I go on the road, there's only room for one other person because of the amount of equipment that goes in the back. So we have to get another vehicle, and we've been given a budget. And two questions. One, how do you feel about going around the state in a Fiat? And two, would you be opposed to a Camel? Because that's the budget we've been dealt.
See, I'd rather go with the Fiat because camels spit, and I'm pretty sure that Fiats don't spit.
Well, if you try to put me in a Fiat, I might spit. I'll just ride on top, holding on to either side of the car.
We could just hitchhike across the state, Todd, and see how that goes.
That'd be fun.
There'd be a lot of material there, I think.
Yeah.
We could do a train like hobos.
And jump on the train.
I'll get my bindle stick.
We'll keep working on this.
Yeah.
Hopefully, we will be coming to a town near you sometime soon.
We will. It'll all be fine.
Once we get all the details worked out, we'll be able to share that. Before you joined us, Todd, we were talking a little bit about trying to crack down on reckless driving in Milwaukee, and I don't think it's nearly as bad in Madison as it is in Milwaukee. Because really. But one of the things, one of the things that they're talking about is installing red light cameras as an effort to try and crack down on this. And I did want to share at least some text that came in before we move on. So we have Andrew on WAUK says those red light cameras might work, but vehicles need to have tags that the camera can read. And most of the people who are doing the speeding and doing the reckless driving don't even have plates.
Wow.
Which is a good point.
Good point. I mean, in Madison, our problem is, for those of you familiar, we call it the belt line. That's essentially the main kind of loop around the city. There's people going 90, 100 miles an hour on that thing. Yeah. And then they crash, and it's just ridiculous. So I don't know if it's so much running red lights in Madison. It's just the overall speeding. And then they decide, let's crack down to the neighborhoods, where people are going 35 instead of 25.
Right.
And let's stop them. No, get out. Stop these idiots that are going 100 miles an hour.
Yeah. It really makes you wonder sometimes.
In the last segment, I'm sure you heard, it's the thing is, neither one of us can really be totally for or totally against it. It just seems like a measure that can be part of it. There's traffic calming measures. This could be a measure, but then there has to be a big push to stop because driving 50 in a 25 or 30, even a 35 is bad, and that should be enforced and that should be taken care of. But that doesn't get to the root to the problem of these pictures we see on the news of 2-3 car crashes where people are injured and being killed. A red light camera ain't going to solve that. That's a deeper issue to look at.
Couple other comments.
I totally agree.
A couple other comments that came in on the text line. Alice from Cudahy. So at 5 miles over, you get a warning. Reckless drivers going 60 and over and doing donuts in the street need a much more serious consequence. Second offense, impound the car.
Yeah.
And Kimberly from Wauwatosa says, no, I don't want red light cameras. I already have speed bumps, narrowed lanes, new bike lanes. This does not deter dangerous drivers. This only affects the people in the neighborhood. Enforcement by law enforcement is what we need. More police on the ground as well. It's interesting that you mentioned the loop around Madison.
Beltline, yeah.
The Beltline. I was just in Madison, a month ago for the WBAs. No cop. I've never seen a cop on the Beltline.
No, rarely.
Yeah.
Rarely.
Seriously.
I'll confession on the air. And the statute of limitations has not run out. I've been a long time. I did it like a month and a half ago. After my show, the afternoon, I had to go to the west side of Madison. I was going to University Avenue, and I was sitting there, and I was thinking about the show, as you do. You're like, what went well, what went. And I'm sitting there, and I saw the green light, and so I just went, and I got halfway through the intersection, and I said some things I can't say on the radio because I realized. It was the green light to turn left.
Yep.
My light was still red.
Todd.
And I'm halfway through the intersection. Yeah. I'm like, oh, blankety blank crap. And I just floored it to get through. But
Todd,
so pay attention, people. Don't be like Todd. Pay attention when you drive.
I didn't get halfway through, but 2 days ago, that happened to me. I was in the car. I was staring off into the middle distance going, man, I'm really amazing. And I just saw out of the corner of my, if you know me, then that's funny. The corner of my, I just see the color green and I start to go. And then I realize immediately it's the left turn lane and I stop. But then I'm also now in the walkway and I'm that guy. So it's.
Well, you have a story about that too. About the walkway. I remember you talking about this. You were in Madison. I don't know if you had to go to the grocery store or you stopped into a pharmacy. And there's the line as you come up to the red light. There is a line where you are supposed to stop. So you're not hanging out into the crosswalk. And you got busted for that.
I was like, literally, my bumper was across it. The front of the truck wasn't even in the crosswalk, really. It was just over the solid white line. And there appeared to be a rookie cop and their supervisor sitting right next. And I literally stopped. I came to a full stop. I looked at them. I turned. They smiled. I smiled. And then next thing I know, it's cherries and berries. And
cherries and berries.
They're like, I said, was there a problem? I stopped. And they kind of looked at me. Well, according to state statute, whatever. You have to have your entire vehicle behind the solid white line. Otherwise, it doesn't constitute a legal stop in Wisconsin. So that's your driving tip for today. Yeah. I will say I got a warning or a verbal warning. No, that one was a written warning.
It was a written warning. But see, I give you so much credit for not melting down and saying, do you see how they drive on the Beltline? And this is what you're going to do. This is what you're going to give me a warning for? Are you kidding me?
Do you know who I am?
No. I was actually more amused by it than anything. I just thought, really? Okay, well, everybody needs training, I guess. So I'm glad I could help somebody. Now, if they'd actually given me a formal ticket where I had to pay and got points reduced, I might have been a little salty, but I'm just like, really? You have nothing else to do today?
Apparently not.
Never forget that. I will now when I'm driving, I'll always be like, look at there, cherries and berries, cherries and berries. I'm just gonna sing songs with. I've never heard. Cherries.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, that's the old Richland Center phrase. Yep, cherries and berries in the rear view.
You've made him very happy. I hope you know that.
Good.
I hope you know
I'm glad
that.
I could do something today.
Todd Alba is our guest. You can catch him later on today from 2 to 4 across the Civic Media Radio Network. Why don't I talk to you a little bit about this, Todd? Because you have spent a lot of time going around the state, and I'm curious if you find this a surprise. But a survey finds that a majority of Wisconsinites support Planned Parenthood and abortion access.
A good friend of mine likes to say, at my age, nothing surprises me anymore, but it was unexpected. So I would say, no, I mean, I think, yeah, when it comes to Planned Parenthood, my best, the biggest learning moment, I think, for me was a way, I'm a little old, but back in '98 was helping run John Sharpless's campaign for Congress in the 2nd Congressional District, Republican, and but a pro-choice Republican. And it was, a big Second Amendment guy, fiscally conservative, but socially would be considered today liberal. And he was an adamant defender. He had a daughter, and an adamant defender of Planned Parenthood. And he said, I have no time for people in our party that want to attack Planned Parenthood because of the work they do and what they do for women in particular, but not just for women, for all. He was a college professor at UW-Madison, and he was keenly aware of what Planned Parenthood and Madison and other places do, particularly for college students in terms of STI testing,
Yep.
treatment, cancer screenings.
Cancer screenings, yep.
And he said, I again, things I can't say on the air, but I'm cleaning up. He said, people in our party that don't have time for parenthood, blank them. And he said, I have no time for it. And I think that was a real learning moment for me. And I think one of the big misnomers across the state of Wisconsin, you guys obviously are aware, but I think there's this stigma, false narrative out there that every Planned Parenthood clinic does quote unquote abortions, which is completely false and untrue. You have to go to a specific medical clinic for that. And there are all kinds of Planned Parenthood offices across the state who are just there to help folks and to make people's lives easier and to make, in particular, young women and young men's lives better.
Well, and especially in areas where it may be more difficult to access health care. Because that is a growing concern as we see more rural hospitals closing and those kinds of services kind of disappearing. And so in some instances, Planned Parenthood has stepped in to offer, as you said, cervical cancer screenings and breast cancer screenings and all those kinds of things. And I would like to think, because of the results of this survey, that more people are becoming better educated about what it is that Planned Parenthood does. Mm-hmm. And one thing that I wanted to bring up that I will never forget that I heard on your show, and this is going back well over a year, but you were talking rather on your show about the issue of abortion and the 1849 ban in Wisconsin and what was happening after the fall of Roe and all those things. And you had an older woman call into your show and say, well, it's not like they're making these women carry dead babies. And you said, yes, they are, because they are.
Right. And I think that was, I think it was a real learning moment for her. And that's, I don't know, I don't want to get too emotional or weird about it, but to me, that's one of the great privileges of getting to come on the air every day and being behind the microphone is to, hey, maybe we're actually going to bring some truth and we can do it in a way that's accessible and people learn something. And that's how, look, I'm of all the perfect people in the world, I'm near the bottom. Like, I'm not perfect. I'm learning stuff every day, or I ought to be. And I think the more that we can just put out truth through all of our shows, and that's a great privilege of Civic, is to do this, that makes us all better and we can learn from one another.
Completely agree.
Well, and that's one of the things that you say on your show all the time, which I have so much respect for. It's no one has ever told you what to say. No one has ever told me what to say. Mm-hmm. It's not like our owner, Sage Weil, comes in with a sheet on a daily basis and says, here's what you're talking about today. No, it's just be honest, bring facts, and be compassionate. Yeah. Essentially.
Yeah, and occasionally try to be funny, which you guys are better at than me, but it's still a lot of fun.
That's debatable.
I mean, it's true. I'm the funniest one, but the point is...
Exactly.
We are going to continue with Todd Alba on the other side. It's our opportunity to fill a government role. Bob Kennedy fired 17 people. Let's get some replacements ready. You're listening to Matt Nair on air. This is the Civic Media Radio Network. We will be right back.
You're listening to Civic Media. Find the latest news, information, and archives of all your favorite shows on the Civic Media website, civicmedia.us.
Good morning and welcome to Matt Nair on air. Jane Matt Nair, Greg Bach, Calvinator on the board, coming to you from our studio at Radio Park in Racine. You can join us. Call or text. The number is the same, 855-752-4842. Leave a comment if you're watching on the live stream on Facebook, YouTube, and what used to be Twitter. Don't forget our Scotty text to win contest.
Yeah, I gotta beef with
Scotty
it.
Summer text to win
Yeah, I
contest.
know.
That's what it is. That's what it is.
I called the sizzling summer. Wasn't it sizzling at one point?
I don't think so.
Something like
No,
that.
I don't
I don't think
think so.
so.
But
I like
I-
that though.
Here's what happened. Our show, merrily, as my grandpa used to say, beat you guys a couple of times, but it was like whistling through a graveyard, which doesn't affect Jane because she came up through a mortuary.
Exactly.
But many of us whistle through a graveyard. We barely beat you, and then you kicked our butt. It wasn't even the contest was over in week 1, and they retired your text to win jersey, and now they've pitted me up against the number 9 talk radio host in America against Hartman. I ain't got a chance, but we'll see what happens.
You can do it. I have faith in you, my friend. Everyone who is listening now, you want to enter during Todd's show from 2 to 4 o'clock. Let's put Todd over the top. Let's put him number 1. Now that we're no longer competing with him, I feel fine.
I've been sipping cool. I've been sipping cool beverages this whole time. Just like, oh, you want to do a voiceover? I'm good. All right.
Listen to Todd for the keyword between 2 and 4. You text in via the Civic Media app, and you are in the running either for $100 in cash.
Hot cash.
Hot cash. He likes hot
I
cash.
heard that earlier.
Yes.
I heard it's hot cash.
Hot cash. Or a pair of Brewers Club level tickets. And then in the drawing, would you stop? For one of 2 grand prizes, summer getaway to either Door County or Baraboo with gas to get there.
I just $100 in cold hard cash. Well, on this show, it's hot soft cash. There you go.
Hot crunchy cash. hot and crunchy, baby.
There you go.
So be listening. Later on today,
Here.
listen to Todd from 2 to 4. He'll have the keyword in the 2 o'clock hour, and you could be a fantastic winner. Make sure you enter. Okay, so
By the way, it's a statewide contest.
it is a statewide text to win contest.
There it
That's
is.
very important. Here's the headline from the Bulwark, and it kind of says everything. RFK Jr. is as bad as we all imagined.
What?
There you go. Yep.
Welcome to the party. I've been here for years.
Yeah, he pretty much is. Yesterday, U.S. Health Secretary Bob Kennedy Jr. fired all 17 members of the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention panel of vaccine experts and is now in the process of replacing them. And what blows my mind is Robert Kennedy Jr. said that firing these 17 experts is the only way to reinstate trust.
That's right.
The only way to reinstate trust in the process of vaccines. That is beyond rich, coming from the man who has spent 20 years doing nothing but sowing distrust about vaccines.
I have a question really quick. Speaking of trust, didn't he say in his confirmation hearing that he wouldn't do this?
He did.
Yeah. Also, sowing distrust, he wrote an entire book about Anthony Fauci, chock full of lies. So, yeah, like I said, I've been in this party for a while that I thought he was absolutely he was a menace before. Now he's just dangerous.
He is dangerous. This is dangerous. And the health professionals are checking in on this going, and so who is he going to replace these 17 people, vaccine experts, health experts? Who is he going to replace them with? My first guess is Jenny McCarthy.
Good guess. That's a good one.
Why not? Why not? Jenny
Well-
McCarthy, former Playboy Playmate. She was in MTV on some show where she stuck out her tongue. That's what she became famous for.
That show's called
She
Singled Out.
Is perfect. She's and she's been anti-vaccine for decades. Put Jenny McCarthy on the panel.
Well, really, Jane, I think what we would do just give a bunch of medication and just try stuff. That's what you
Just
do.
throw it on.
try
Just try. Just
pop some pills. I mean, you just pop them and then
just
if they
try and
work,
see
they
what
work.
happens.
I don't know if that was a Bob Jr. impression or a really bad Matthew McConaughey.
Either one.
Yeah.
I'm just popping pills. I mean, I think that's really the key here is just, try to take as many drugs as possible.
See
Go
what
back
works.
to the 60s.
Yeah.
See what works.
And just see what works.
What the heck?
Well, Bob Jr. does have plenty of experience with drugs from the 60s. We know he knows about that.
Yeah.
What he knows about vaccine, not so much.
Well, Jane, that's just it, though. He doesn't need to know, as he told our very own Mark Pocan, people shouldn't take medical advice from him when it comes to vaccines. Why in the world, Jane and Todd and Calvin, and to all of our listeners, why would a man who's in charge of the Health and Human Services Department, why should we trust his viewpoint on vaccines?
Because he's the head of the Department of Health and Human Services.
I don't know. That's just a job, though, man. That's just cool, laid back. Jenny McCarthy's there kicking back. She could be the assistant secretary.
To Bob Kennedy Jr.
Yeah.
Let's get the dead bear on this panel.
the dead
one
bear?
that he dumped in Central Park. Let's put him on the vaccine panel right away. He's got to be as much of an expert as anybody else.
Calvin just suggested Biggest Loser host Jillian Michaels. She'll just yell at the viruses until
it
they
goes
go
away.
Yeah, that's
I like that idea.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Good
I think
idea,
that
Cal.
works. Yep.
Very good idea. Yeah. Who else should we put on there? I'm thinking just.
We got 17 slots. There's a lot of slots to go.
Yeah.
Slots?
Todd.
Lots to go.
On the panel.
The panel.
On the
Todd.
panel.
It's a connection sport. All right.
There it is.
I was thinking the Trump administration. Anyway, no, I don't know who you put on. I mean, it's yes, obviously it's funny, but it's also really, really sad.
It is.
Because again, like so many things that the Trump administration, like cutting off USAID and the PEPFAR program, which is bipartisan in Africa, you're going to have people die because drugs aren't going to get approved in America.
Yep.
Listen to Todd. Check him out this afternoon. Be listening for that keyword. Put him over the top, 2 to 4 p.m. Todd Alba across the network. Thank you so much, my friend. We'll see you later.
Thanks, you guys. Bye-bye.
News coming up next. Keep it here on the Civic Media Radio Network.
The national news cycle never stops, but it can be hard to find news about your local community. Civic Media is dedicated to providing quality local and state news coverage across Wisconsin. With the Civic Media app, you can get notifications about local stories that matter to you and your community. Find the free Civic Media app in your phone's app store and choose notifications from the menu to tell us what kind of news you want to hear about.